Around 20,000 years ago, our planet was nearly unrecognizable. Vast sheets of ice, kilometers thick, buried much of the northern world. Sea levels dropped so far that new land rose from the oceans. Beyond the ice stretched a frozen, wind-blasted wilderness, roamed by giants, woolly mammoths, towering deer, cave lions the size of tigers. The world was locked in the grip of the last great ice age, and it was trying to kill us. Because here is the strange thing about us, about Homo sapiens. We are not built for the cold. We are tropical animals, born in the warmth of Africa, with thin skin and almost no fur to protect us. Drop a naked human into an ice age winter, and they would be dead within hours. By every rule of nature, we had no business surviving a frozen world like that. And yet we did. Not only did we survive the ice age, we spread into its harshest corners, hunted its giants, and walked out the other side as the most dominant creature the planet had ever seen. How? How did a fragile, furless ape conquer a world of ice that should have destroyed it? The answer is one of the greatest survival stories ever told. It's a story of fire and fur, of needles and spears, of an unlikely alliance with a wild predator, and of the one weapon no other animal had: the human mind. The Ice Age was the ultimate test. It pushed our ancestors to the very edge of extinction, and in forcing them to survive, it forged the species we are today. This is the story of how humans survived the Ice Age. To understand the miracle of it, you first have to understand just how brutal that frozen world really was. To us, the Ice Age can sound almost abstract, a cold chapter in deep time. But for the humans living through it, it was a daily war against an environment built to kill. At its peak, around 20,000 years ago, the last ice age transformed the planet. Enormous glaciers, in places over a kilometer thick, crushed down across northern Europe, Asia, and North America. So much of the world's water was locked up in ice that the oceans fell, exposing land bridges that connected continents which are separated by sea today. Beyond the walls of ice lay a vast, freezing grassland known as the mammoth steppe, a harsh, treeless world that stretched across much of the northern hemisphere. The winters were long and savage, the winds relentless, the temperatures deadly. This was not a gentle wilderness. It was one of the most punishing environments humans have ever faced, and it was ruled by giants. This was the age of the megafauna, when enormous Ice Age animals dominated the land. Woolly mammoths, wrapped in shaggy coats and armed with curving tusks, moved across the steppe in herds. Woolly rhinos lowered their great horns against the cold. Cave lions and cave bears, far larger than their modern relatives, hunted the same valleys our ancestors did. Giant deer carried antlers wider than a man is tall. To live here was to share the land with monsters and to compete with them for survival. For our ancestors, every single day was a struggle. The cold could kill you in your sleep. A failed hunt could mean starvation before spring. The animals you needed to eat were enormous, powerful, and dangerous. And remember, we were the newcomers here. Tropical apes thrust into a frozen world we were never designed for. A species with thin skin and no fur, surrounded by ice and giants, at the mercy of a climate that wanted them dead. On paper, it's a recipe for extinction. So, how did they turn it around? The answer begins with the single most important thing our ancestors ever mastered: fire. If you had to name the one thing that let humans survive the Ice Age, it would be fire. Fire was everything. It was warmth in a world of killing cold, a source of heat our ancestors could carry with them into places no naked ape could otherwise go. It was protection, a wall of flame and light that kept the cave lions and bears at bay in the dark. It was a way to cook food, unlocking more energy from every meal to fuel bodies fighting to stay warm. And it was a gathering point, the glowing heart of every camp where families huddled together against the night. Without fire, the Ice Age story ends before it begins. But fire alone was not enough. To truly conquer the cold, our ancestors did something no other animal could. They made their own fur. This is one of the most underrated breakthroughs in all of human history: tailored clothing. Other creatures of the Ice Age were born with thick coats. Humans had to invent theirs. And they did, scraping and softening animal hides, and then, crucially, sewing them together into fitted garments. Archaeologists have found delicate-eyed needles carved from bone, tens of thousands of years old. With those tiny tools, our ancestors stitched, layered, close-fitting clothing that trapped warmth against the body. It sounds simple, it was revolutionary. Sewn clothing is part of what let humans push north into the deep cold, into lands that would freeze an unprotected body in minutes. And then there was shelter. Where caves were available, our ancestors claimed them, lighting fires at the entrance to hold back the dark and the cold. Where there were no caves, they built. In some places, people constructed astonishing dwellings out of the very giants they hunted. Huts framed from the massive bones and tusks of mammoths, draped in hides, anchored against the screaming wind. Fire to warm them, clothing to wrap them, shelter to protect them. Piece by piece, our ancestors built a bubble of survival in a lethal world. But staying warm was only half the battle. They still had to eat, and that meant facing the giants. Surviving the Ice Age meant eating, and on the frozen steppe, eating meant hunting some of the largest and most dangerous animals that have ever lived. A single human alone stood no chance against a mammoth. But humans were never alone. And that was their greatest weapon of all. Cooperation was the human superpower. Our ancestors hunted in coordinated groups, working together with a level of planning and communication no other predator could match. They drove herds into traps, ambushed prey at river crossings, and brought down giants that no individual could ever face. And they didn't just cooperate within a single band. They built wider networks, trading tools, materials, and knowledge across vast distances, so that a good idea or a better technique could spread from group to group. They backed that teamwork with brilliant technology. Ice Age humans developed the spear thrower, a clever tool that let them launch a spear with far greater force and range, killing dangerous prey from a safer distance. They crafted finely worked stone and bone points, harpoons, and blades, a constantly improving toolkit refined over generations. But perhaps the most remarkable survival strategy of all was an alliance. Somewhere in the depths of the Ice Age, humans and wolves began to come together. Over time, those wolves became something new, the first dogs. They helped track and hunt prey, guarded the camp, and shared in the warmth of the fire. It was one of the most extraordinary partnerships in the history of life. Two predators joining forces against a frozen world. We did not face the Ice Age alone. We faced it with the ancestors of our best friend at our side. And underpinning all of it was the human mind. Our ancestors planned for the future, remembered the lessons of past winters, and passed hard-won knowledge from parents to children. We see the spark of that mind in the breathtaking art they left behind. Deep in caves like Chauvet and Lascaux, vivid paintings of the very animals they lived among. Those paintings are more than beauty. They are proof of a mind that could imagine, remember, and plan the same mind that engineered survival itself. And so, against all odds, they made it. Armed with fire and fur, with spears and dogs, with cooperation and cunning, our ancestors didn't merely cling to survival at the edges of the Ice Age world. They thrived in it. They spread across the frozen steppe, following the herds, mastering one harsh landscape after another. They pushed into lands no human had ever set foot in before. In fact, it was during the Ice Age that humans completed one of the greatest journeys in our entire history. With sea levels lowered by all that locked-up ice, a bridge of land emerged in the far north, connecting Asia to the Americas. And our ancestors walked across it into two entire continents that had never known a human footprint. By the time the ice finally began to melt, humans had reached almost every corner of the globe. Then, around 12,000 years ago, the Great Cold loosened its grip. The glaciers retreated, the world warmed, and the Ice Age came to an end. And the humans who emerged into that warmer world were not the same fragile apes who had entered it. The Ice Age had changed us. It had demanded cooperation, and so we became the most cooperative species on Earth. It had demanded invention, and so we became master tool makers and problem solvers. It had demanded that we plan, remember, share, and adapt, and those very traits became the foundation of everything that came next. The teamwork that brought down a mammoth would one day build cities. The minds that survived the cold would one day reshape the planet. We often think of the Ice Age as something that happened to our ancestors, but in a very real sense, it made them. The cold did not break us. It forged us. Every time you bundle up against a winter wind, you are using a trick your ancestors invented to survive a frozen apocalypse. We are, all of us, the descendants of the survivors, the ones who looked into the heart of an ice age and refused to die. The Ice Age was humanity's greatest trial, and we did not just survive it, we were shaped by it. The fire, the cooperation, the restless, inventive mind that carried us through the cold are still with us today, in every one of us. If you love uncovering the epic story of how we came to be, you're in the right place. At Dawn of Mankind, we bring the great chapters of our origins back to life, one at a time. Subscribe and turn on the bell, and join us as we journey deeper into the human story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the past.